I am about to buy the most expensive eyeball in the world. And now in my collection of eyeballs, I have over 100 different eyes with some of the most expensive eyeballs already. But in today's video, I will be buying the most expensive eye ever. But in my collection of eyeballs, almost every single eye that I have is worth about $3,000 or more, and some of my eyes, like my real eyes, can be about $10,000. And most of these custom eyeballs can be anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. And these eyes were actually made for other people that I bought. But with all of the eyes in my collection, my eye collection is worth probably $1 million with all of the eyes and some of the crazy expensive eyes that I have. But the eyeball that I am getting today will be more expensive than every single eyeball in my eye collection. But first, let me show you my top 5 most expensive eyes that I own. My 5th most expensive eyeball in my entire collection, the eyeball that cost almost $6,000, is this purple sparkly eye. This purple sparkly eyeball was actually one of my first ever custom eyes, and this eyeball cost about $6,000 because it's the color purple, but on the inside, there is actually gold flakes in this eyeball, making it very, very expensive. But luckily, this eyeball looks so freaking cool, so this eyeball is definitely worth it. And my 4th most expensive eyeball in my entire eye collection is this bionic looking eye. I actually never wear this eyeball, and I forgot that I even had it, but this bionic looking eyeball is very, very cool, and honestly, I regret not wearing it because it looks like an actual bionic eye. But the reason this eyeball costs about $7,000 is because there's actually a gold ring around the eyeball, as you can see, and that is actually very, very expensive. So that is why this eyeball costs about $7,000. And my 3rd most expensive eyeball and one of the coolest eyes in my entire collection is this diamond eye. This diamond eye is one of the coolest eyes in my entire collection, and this thing cost $8,000 because there's so many different diamonds inside of this eyeball. It looks very, very expensive, it feels expensive, and it is very, very expensive because all of the diamonds in this eyeball. But now we go on to the top 2 most expensive eyes in my collection. But these eyes don't even come close to the eyeball that we're getting later in this video. But my 2nd most expensive eyeball out of the entire eye collection that I currently have is this real eye. So realistic eyeballs are actually almost more expensive than custom eyes because this eyeball was actually custom fit to my eye socket so it could move around and everything to make it look like I actually have 2 eyes. And then also it was custom painted to match the color of my real eyeball. And obviously it doesn't look the same now because this eyeball was made about 3 or 4 years ago, so it's definitely outdated. But because of it actually making motion and looking around and being color matched to my real eyeball, this thing is super, super expensive, equaling almost $10,000 for this real eye. And lastly, the most expensive eyeball in my entire eye collection is my real eye. This real eyeball is expensive for so many reasons, but the main reason is because I actually had to lose my real eyeball and it cost so much money in surgeries, and now I still have this eyeball for all of the memories of how much money it cost and how much pain too. But this is my real eyeball, so this thing is absolutely priceless, easily making it the most expensive eyeball in my entire collection. But you just saw the top 5 most expensive eyeballs in my collection, and now it is time to get the newest and the most expensive eyeball ever. And now you might be wondering, how can I get an eyeball even more expensive than the ones that I already have? And well, this eyeball is actually a real eyeball that looks exactly like my real eye, and this thing is going to be the most realistic eyeball ever made. This thing is so realistic, it costs so much money, and it moves around and everything like my real eyeball. It traces my real eye, so this eye will be the most realistic eye ever, and it will actually look real. And yes, it did cost thousands and thousands of dollars, but this is going to be worth it. Because once I get this eyeball, nobody will ever even know that I have a missing eyeball, and I will look like I actually have 2 real eyeballs again. And I have actually gone to the eye doctor multiple times to get this eye made in different phases to make it the most realistic eyeball ever. And well, today is the day that the eyeball finally arrives after over 6 months of making this most expensive eye. But when this eyeball comes in a few minutes, this eyeball will truly be the most expensive eye in my collection, the most realistic eye in my collection, and the most impactful eye in my collection, because I will finally look like I actually have 2 eyes again. So this eyeball is going to be absolutely insane because of how crazy this thing is. So I will see you guys when the eyeball finally arrives. All right, guys, the eyeball is finally here, and I just got the notification. It's sitting right here, and inside of here, we have the most expensive eye ever. So let's go inside and open this thing up. But I'm not gonna lie, my heart is racing because I am so eager to see this eyeball. It is time to open this package up and see the most expensive eyeball ever made, the most realistic eyeball ever made, and the most impactful eyeball to me. So let's see what's inside of here. All right. It is out from the package. It is inside another box. So let's open this box up and see what this eye looks like. And yo! This eyeball looks so real. You can literally see the veins and everything in this eyeball. The pupil, the iris, everything looks so real. And now it is time to take this eyeball out of the case and let's compare it to my real eye. It actually looks the same exact color and everything in the light. So this eyeball looks very, very matching and realistic. And now it is time to put it in for the first time ever and see how realistic this eyeball is. So let's put it in, and all right, it feels very, very good. So now let's see what this eyeball looks like. And 3, 2, 1, and yo, this thing is insane. It looks so realistic. You can't even tell which eyeball is my real eye or which eye is my fake eye. It is that real. And now let's see if the eyeball actually moves around a little bit. So here we go. I'm gonna look to the left. Yo, it actually moves and follows my real eyeball and everything too. It actually looks like I have 2 eyeballs again because of how real this eyeball is. This eyeball was the most expensive eyeball ever made, but I would say that it's worth it because you legit cannot tell that I even have a fake eyeball. This is absolutely insane. And now let's take the eyeball out and compare this new $10,000 real eyeball next to my last prosthetic eyeball that was made. And as you can see, the new one just looks way more fresh and way more realistic. But although this was the most expensive eyeball that I ever bought, it is definitely worth it because this eyeball serves purpose. It can move around, it looks real, and it actually feels like I have 2 eyeballs again because of how this thing looks. So let me know in the comments if you think this new eyeball matches the color of my real eye, and let me know on a scale from 1 to 10 on how realistic this eyeball looks. But with that being said, you guys just watched me get the most expensive eyeball ever. So smash that subscribe button because we're almost to 10 million subscribers. And with that being said, I will see you guys in a couple of days. Peace.